My girlfriend told me she'd been bonded to a system. It let her see a demand index for how much everyone around her needed her. At first, her eyes had gone red with tears. Your number's only 30. Does that mean you don't love me? Not needing you doesn't mean I don't love you, I told her. After that, she started holding an umbrella for her male assistant on rainy days and driving out of her way to take him home. When I asked why, she brushed it off. Don't overthink it. His number was just high, so I figured he needed the help. Then I came down with a fever and took to my bed, and she chose to go shopping with him instead. Your number's low, but his side is more urgent. Let me finish helping him first, then I'll come look after you. She shut the door behind her. I closed my eyes for a moment, then picked up my phone. Mom, I'm coming home alone this new year. I didn't know how long I'd been asleep. Thirst finally woke me. I heard the fingerprint lock click open behind me, but I didn't turn around. Kimberly Nickel came in wearing house slippers and stopped a few feet behind me. How are you feeling? You didn't answer any of my texts. I said nothing. She stepped closer and reached for my forehead, but I caught the sharp, woodsy scent of Gary Yock's cologne clinging to her and turned my face away. Her hand dropped. Right, she said coolly. With a number like yours, what could possibly be wrong? Her eyes drifted upward, hovering somewhere above my head again. My throat felt raw. Can't you just turn my number off? Can't you look at me just once without it? She'd told me once that the system could be switched off. Kimberly didn't answer. She set a bag on the coffee table. Something for the fever. Use it. I crouched beside the table, my hands shaking slightly as I worked at the knot. Then she added, Gary got it for you. He heard you weren't feeling well and picked it up on the way. Be nicer to him. He's a good kid and he barely started working. Inside were ibuprofen, cold medicine, cooling patches, and 2 slips of paper. One was a pharmacy receipt. The other was a purchase confirmation for an expensive custom-tailored suit, paid for at $4.24 that afternoon. I stared at it for 2 seconds, tucked it back under the medicine, and pressed a cooling patch to my forehead. Then I got up. I'm tired tonight. Sleep in the guest room. I closed the bedroom door before she could answer. Later, her phone rang in the living room. Kimberly answered in a low voice, soft laughter slipping between her words, and then the sound moved toward the door. A moment later, the latch clicked shut. My phone buzzed once beneath the pillow. I didn't look at it. By the next day, my fever had broken, though my throat still hurt. The message I'd ignored the night before was from my mother. Kim's not coming home with you? Is she busy? Her voice caught before lifting again, trying to sound light. That's all right. Busy is good. We'll see her some other time. I stared at the thread, then scrolled up. Mom, who barely bought herself a new shirt all year, had sent selfies in 4 different outfits, asking which would make the best impression on her future daughter-in-law. She'd also sent photos of pot roast. Ever since Kimberly mentioned she liked it, Mom had been making it over and over. It's getting better every time. She's sure to like it, she'd said. I listened once more, then replied, she really has been busy lately. Kimberly was already gone when I left the room. The medicine was neatly set out with croissants, coffee, and a note telling me not to forget breakfast. It had been a long time since she'd bought breakfast for me herself. Ever since the system appeared, it felt like meeting my needs had become a waste because my number was low. The food was stone cold. I heated it and ate anyway. At the office, I saw Gary getting out of the passenger seat of Kimberly's car with a breakfast bag so hot he kept tugging at his earlobe. Kimberly locked the car, and the two of them walked into the building together without looking my way. Around noon, Gary found me in the hallway. Hey Levi, Ms. Nickel asked me to pick out gifts for your parents for the holidays. I'm worried my taste isn't good enough. Can you take a look? He handed me his phone. At the top of his chat with Kimberly, her contact name was simply Kim, with a little heart around it. Gary scrolled through page after page of gift ideas. Kimberly's replies were casual. Sure, your call. Then I saw one line from her near the top. As long as the gesture there. Old folks don't need anything too expensive. I glanced at the prices. Added together, the gifts still didn't come close to the amount on the custom suit receipt I'd found in the medicine bag. Gary seemed to realize I'd seen it and laughed awkwardly. Miss Nickel's just trying to save money. It's not easy for her to make it. No, it's not, I said. So don't bother buying anything. His smile froze, and I walked away. That evening, Kimberly was waiting on the couch. Did you give Gary a hard time today? I paused in the entryway. He told you? He spent all day researching gifts for your parents and you shut him down with one line. Don't you feel bad trampling on his good intentions? I really don't understand why you have to be like this. As I put away my shoes, I noticed 2 paper bags on top of the cabinet. The logos were familiar. The 2 cheapest items from the list Gary had shown me. They'd already been bought. Good intentions? He was scrolling through gift guides on company time. Aren't you paying him a salary? And why is someone else choosing gifts for my parents? Kimberly frowned. Gary's thoughtful. He understands what older people like. Last month I asked what to get your parents, and you said anything was fine. Your number was only 34 when you said that. She continued. Gary's number hit 70 just from asking me to grab him a coffee. You clearly never cared that much about the gifts for your parents. Isn't it ridiculous to make an issue of it now? Her gaze drifted above my head again. Numbers. Always the numbers. Kimberly used to understand exactly why mine was low. My biological father drank, and when he drank, he hit people. After watching him split my mother's lip, I learned early to read a room, stay quiet, and ask for as little as possible. Even after Mom remarried a gentle man, I still couldn't bring myself to depend on anyone. In high school, people mistook that for arrogance. They mocked me for refusing help and whispered about my family. Kimberly had been the one person who stood up for me. He's first in the whole class every single time, she told them. He's made it this far on his own. Could any of you have done the same? Later, when we were together, she held me and said, you only learned to grow up so fast because things were hard before. Levi, I want to be good to you. You don't owe me an explanation. I'll support you from now on. I held on to those words for years. Kimberly was the only person I'd ever truly let myself reach for, and now she'd forgotten all of it. 6 months with the system, and the independence she once admired had become proof that I wasn't worth caring for. I turned toward the bedroom, but Kimberly grabbed my wrist. Her fingertips trembled. Levi, why has your number dropped so much? I paused. Dropped to what? Her mouth opened before she finally answered. 15. There's still 15, huh? I glanced down at her hand around my wrist. 15 or 30. Does it make any difference to you? She went quiet, then laughed coldly. No, it really doesn't. Didn't you tell me yesterday to turn your number off? Fine, I'll turn it off. Your number was never worth looking at anyway. All it does is put me in a bad mood. From now on, don't even bother telling me what you need. Her grip tightened as she stared at me, as if waiting for something. Fine, I said. Then I looked at her hand. Let go. After a long moment, she did. I turned away. Behind me, her voice rose sharply. Do you still want me to come home with you for the holidays? I only turned down a project to go in the first place. If this is the attitude you're going to have, I'm not going anymore. She paused, waiting. I didn't answer. Kimberly kept going. Gary can't handle that project alone. He's already working overtime through the holidays, and I feel bad enough about it. I can already guess his number's going to break 80 probably. I finished for her. Silence fell behind me. I'd already bought a ticket home alone, but hearing her say she wasn't coming still tightened something in my chest. A year ago, she'd curled against me and asked when she could finally meet my parents properly. She'd been more eager than I was. Now she had changed. I turned around. Kimberly, if someday his number gets high enough that he wants to sleep with you, would you go through with it? She stared at me, then gave a short laugh. Levi, do you even hear yourself right now? What am I to Gary? A supervisor to her subordinate. He works hard, and somehow in your head that turns into cheating, holding an umbrella for him, driving him home, buying his coffee, bringing him breakfast, buying him a suit. That was only what I'd seen. I had no idea how much more there was that I hadn't. I'm only asking about the number, I said. If that day comes, what would you choose? Kimberly's voice sharpened. You're convicting me over a hypothetical? Fine, then let me ask you one too. If you weren't so paranoid, do you think we'd be fighting like this? She stepped closer. Can you try having a little empathy? Put yourself in his shoes. A kid barely out of college and his boss gives him a cold shoulder every day. How do you think that feels? I looked at her. You've never once asked how I feel. I can see exactly how you feel. It's right there in that pathetic little number over your head. What am I supposed to do? Coddle someone every day who doesn't even want to be coddled? I stared at her. Is a straight answer really so hard to give me? She was still breathing hard when she finally snapped. No. There. Are you satisfied? Then she marched to the entryway, grabbed the 2 paper bags and hurled them to the floor. I'm going on a business trip for 2 weeks. I won't be back before the holidays. You'd better think carefully if you still want to see me at your parents' place. The door slammed behind her. The apartment slowly went quiet. Maybe it was better that she'd left. I sat on the edge of the bed and opened my hand. I'd been clenching it so long the color hadn't returned yet. Then I started packing my clothes. 2 years in that apartment, and everything that truly belonged to me fit into a few storage bags. The next day, I handed in my resignation. The HR manager stopped by and joked, "Heading home to get married?" I smiled without explaining. Don't tell her yet. For the rest of my working days, I showed up as usual. On my last day, I used my remaining holiday leave to buy gifts for my parents. By evening, all that remained was the suitcase I was taking with me. At the entryway, I tapped the electronic lock a few times. Fingerprint deleted, it announced. I looked back once. The couch cushions were neat, and the fever medicine still sat where Kimberly had left it. Everything she'd given me was still there. I hadn't taken a single piece of it. The suitcase wheels rolled over the threshold and I shut the door behind me, quietly, without a sound.